What up, what up, what up? It's your boy. Yeah, we back up in this thing. A little surprise stream for y'all. Yeah. My boy Mikey, appreciate you hitting the like button for a player. Yeah, bring everybody in here. We about to get into it, man. Appreciate you for sending the gifts there, D Solani. Shout out to all the Solani folk out there. We represent tonight. What's up with y'all? What's going on though? We're gonna let the theme song play and then we're gonna rock for a minute. Yeah, testing. Y'all can hear me good, right? If y'all can hear me, go ahead and say so in the chat for me real quick. Hey, what up though? Tony, my boy Tony. What's good, Tony? Yeah. We're gonna make something happen here in a minute, man. All right. Let's see. Let's do this, man. Hey, let the theme song rock for a second. Or let that theme song rock. Yeah. Yo. What's going on though? We up in this thing back again. It's a Friday night, or actually it's past midnight over here on the East Coast. So we didn't actually slipped into Saturday morning now. Man, what we doing here? I said this was a once a week show where we go live every Thursday night, but as my boy Tom from work, he like to say, there's always more meat on the bones. And when we want to, when we try to, we can try to get after it, to make something of that extra little leftover on the bones. My boy Saint, what up though? I see you in there. Yeah, let me know if you can hear the mic a little bit better. I was playing around with the settings. That was half the reason why I decided to go live, because I was just reworking some of my settings, reworking my camera angles a little bit. It might not look too different from the last stream, but this stream is this camera is a little bit closer now. Just at the desk and the lights and all of that. So I hope we get a better look. My boy Saint though, man, we just giving this a little spin around the block one time, and then we gonna close it up, close up shop. I just wanted to say what's up and come on here. I was messing around with like readjusting some of the scenes and getting all the views a little bit closer. What you was saying about the video being a little pixelated, man, I tried. I don't know. I think I just the little pixelation issue, that's gonna have to wait to be fixed until I get a better camera set up. Right now, I'm just streaming this straight off the phone right now. The phone camera's doing all the work. And I mean, when I get in there, like you can see me, I did update it to make sure it was running 60 frames a second. So it do look a little bit smoother. But yeah, I think it's just a little pixelated because we zoomed in so much here. And I tried to adjust the camera distance, or bring the camera closer, or push the camera further away, and I scooch in and I scooch back. I tried doing all of that, and I still ain't really I still didn't really get a solution out of love, but I do think this one look a little bit better than what it was. I think it looked a little bit better. So, yeah, we in here. I notice if you look in like the description or the title here, you see this episode is called 3.1. I ain't even calling this episode 4 yet. This is just like a little bonus add-on to episode 3. We still in episode 3 or week 3, I guess. There was a little bit more we could talk about on that. If we go back to it, then just like to look at this one more time. Like, what was the whole question for this week? We were saying just like, what's the point? What's the point of any of this stuff? People getting into arguments and fighting and disagreeing and stuff. Like, what's the whole point of doing any of this? Then makes sense. Then I didn't know you was running the camera through your phone. Yeah, it was just running the camera through my phone right now. I do got some plans though to get a nicer camera and get maybe even like a multi-angle setup eventually. But that's gonna be another set. I mean, that's still a little bit further down the road. We gonna get there. We're gonna get there. But still, off the phone camera quality, I do feel like it's just a little bit more pixelated than I would like still. Like when I look at this, like I don't know. I mean, it look cool. It don't look terrible, but it don't look as good as it should look, I feel. And my boy Saint, he was letting me know, like, yeah, we gotta fix that. That's on the to-do list, my G. We definitely gonna get there. But anyway, back to the question. What's the point of doing any of this stuff, man? We did kind of get to the place where we kind of settled on the idea is that that boy said I got an iPhone 8. Something like that. Actually, I mean, I feel like we should be doing a little bit better than that, but I digress. I mean, I can play with the video settings some more later, but this is what we're rocking tonight. And the point of it, again, I just want to be able to create this space where we can just open up the signal and let the transmission flow through. Just seeing if we can, tap in with the universe, connect our timeline to any other existing timelines out there and see what's going on with it. If I got a second here too, I do kind of want to talk about the Corey versus Anton thing a little bit. I didn't feel like talking about it too much last night because like I felt like for one, there's like a million different podcasts and stuff on all across the internet, people talking about this thing. So like, I didn't want to be just like one more voice in the ocean of other people talking about this same topic. Everybody going in on this topic, which ain't even that really big of a deal. I don't even feel like, the little argument they had, like it wasn't even nothing that was that fantastic or that explosive. It was just like slow news week. And this was like the most exciting thing that happened in this slow news week, unfortunately. But I do think like I said, I do think there's still some more meat on the bones that we could get after if we really wanted to. And if we talk about what was really going on with Corey and Anton, there might be something interesting there if we could piece it up. We're going to see next week. But then I don't know, I just had that little itch, just something in the back of my head was just like, go live for a little bit, just see what it do. So we here on a Friday night, Saturday morning, and if we get into it, let me pull up the actual video with Corey and Anton, because like I said, it's a whole bunch of people talking about it and giving they 2 cents. Let me see. Saint said we cool on the volume level. Appreciate you, G. All right, I'm gonna bring the TV in. All right, and then on the TV, I got to set it to the right channel. There we are. So this is the Corey 5150 page on YouTube. And if we look here, this is the video. And yo, what up? It's a 2-hour video, 2 hours and 45 minutes. But the interesting stuff was really in just like this first 15 minutes. And shoot, we didn't get to what? Let me see. Where does I'm looking at like little scrubbing across the video right here. Anton didn't leave till like the first hour. Like he's there all the way through like 59, 58 minutes. and then that boy disappeared. So they was literally on stream together for about 40 minutes, maybe 50, before it just crashed and burned. And the crash and burn wasn't even like I said, they didn't even have like a real fight, or they didn't even have like a real established position that they disagreed with each other on. It was just like a petty misunderstanding, and then egos flared up, and then they had to shut it down. But if we really got into it here, like what was they really trying to talk about, and where did they go wrong? If we could piece up some of that tonight, I think that'd be worth it, and then we can close down the stream. We just gonna be in and out here talking about it real quick, because like I said, it's too many people talking about this less than significant moment in internet history. But that's where we at right now. What is January 17th, 2026. I've heard other people say like, man, I don't like to date the stream. I don't like to, let people know when the stream is, because when people come back and watch it later, it's like it make the information feel old, or make it feel like, you tuned in to something from the past. But like, I don't know, I feel like that's kind of the point. Like if somebody's watching this in the future, like, yeah, this is what we was on in January 2026. We was talking about these stupid motherfuckers. So we gonna watch some of this together. And again, I'm presenting this here to you under the fair use guidelines. Fair use, fair use, fair use. We gonna use this for education and critique and reaction purposes tonight. So no copyright strikes necessary. I'm just trying to get this knowledge out there.
We seen charging them up.
Here we go.
We seen worse.
See, they get started right off the bat.
Niggas that don't got no profile picture.
I
promise to God, bro.
And they scared to step forth.
I don't pay attention.
What they
the
talking
type
about?
Of niggas jerk off in their socks.
Yeah.
Well, now they've gotten so savvy where they can actually put a picture, but you open it up and it's like, oh, no post, no nothing. It's like, okay.
We don't take that serious.
Exactly. Keyboard cowards is what I call them.
Somebody said, what Craig had, he on timeout. Craig had a show, fool.
That's right.
Craig going out here doing his thing.
Papa Craig.
But anyway.
Way better if Craig was there to kind of mediate this conversation a little.
But
we gonna try.
There's so much to say. I got to ask you this, just off top.
I'm with it.
How do you feel? Because we ain't gonna do all politics, because that ain't what the show
We
about.
gotta get there though.
Yeah, but I'm saying I don't want you to miss no points.
All right, I'm with it.
What do you feel about?
He said, I don't want you to miss no points. And he responded like, all right, I'm with it. And then proceeded to miss all the points. I just want to point that out. I don't want nobody to miss that.
This nation, as they jack other nations for their resources and play it off like it's other reasons.
Hold on, I don't want to miss the question. Let me back up a little bit.
I don't want you to miss no points.
All right, I'm with it.
What do you feel about this nation as they jack other nations for their resources and play it off like it's other reasons?
Nah. Off the jump, Corey is trying to get into a conversation about white supremacy. What it is and how it moves. Dr. Neely Fuller taught us, if you don't understand white supremacy, what it is and how it works, everything else will only confuse you. And what we see happen this entire episode, confused Negroes. And not that like Corey don't understand white supremacy, not that Anton don't understand white supremacy. I do think both of these fully grown black men do understand what white supremacy is. But the lens that they look through or look at white supremacy with, I do feel like they come from different perspectives and they both looking at this thing a little bit different. But if we had someone to really mediate this conversation and get them pointed in the right direction, I do think we could have established that they both looking at the same thing. You can have difference of opinions. Confused Negroes. But we can have differences of opinions. That's cool. That is what it is. But as far as like being able to have a conversation about a thing, like I don't think these dudes were able to establish that they was having a conversation about the same thing. You gonna see what I mean?
Talking about this nation, the U.S.
That's a part of the game.
When you say off, like it's other reasons. I'm
think
talking
that's a
about
part
this
of the
nation, the U.S.
That's a part of the game.
When you say the part of the game, I don't understand. Do you think
Everybody didn't been conquered. Slavery didn't exist way before we ever came in here. So I don't see what the problem is.
Slavery existed way before we got over here, so I don't see what the problem is. And see, like, you could say something like that and people will gloss over it. But that was the first thing that Anton said that really, like, kind of made things go weird. Because if you go with, like, the watered down, whitewashed version of how we describe slavery and what happened here in America, like, that's kind of what you get to. Is like this, like, oh, well, slavery existed everywhere in the world, and America is just one more place out of all of the places across the entire planet where this thing that happens everywhere just happened to happen here too. That's half truth. The whole truth about it is the version of slavery that existed in America was unique to America. The version of slavery that led to us being who we are today in this country is a version of slavery that only existed here in America. And we specifically talking about American chattel slavery now. It's not just slavery, because slavery did exist everywhere. But American chattel slavery, that's something that was specific to this country. And we was the first to do it here, where you could be sold into slavery, you could die a slave, and you could also have kids who will be born into slavery. You know, outside of American chattel slavery, like the way it worked around the rest of the world, like you could, for whatever reason, like as a punishment, become a slave. You know, whether it's like a crime you committed or a debt that you wasn't able to pay, then you could repay your debt to society through slavery or indentured servitude. But this thing where you could be born a slave and you was just destined to be a slave no matter what you do because of the color of your skin, that is 100% unique to America. That is completely disingenuous to say, oh, well, slavery just existed everywhere and I don't see what the big deal is. You are completely missing the point of what really went down here in America if you say that. And Anton, shame on you. Shame on you, Anton. You're supposed to know better.
Well, I tell you like this. I cannot respect men who are claim jackers. Like I don't
Like what? Give me an example.
Like the United States.
No, give me an example, like a real life thing. Like, what did they take?
The United States.
Like taking this country?
Not just taking this country. How do you think you got here?
The transatlantic.
Okay. Here go another where they kind of diverge a little bit. This whole how do you think we got here convo. Because, I mean, they agree that transatlantic slave trade took place and that is what led to us getting here. But the whole concept of like America as a country being stolen or America as a country being hijacked, I think Anton is kind of trying to wash over that or kind of look past that and just be like, you know, slavery, it just happened and America just happened. Like, no, it didn't just happen. Like, there were some people who came over here with the intentions to rape, murder, and steal. I feel like it's that like that outside of America too, for real. I mean, that hate is worldwide now. And when we really talk about it, like the residual effects of white supremacy, like white supremacy is a global enterprise now. So don't miss that. White supremacy is not just limited to America. But when we piece up the facts of how we got here, the point is American chattel slavery was unique. American chattel slavery is something that only happened here in America. We go on.
Trade.
You smart man.
Right. That's what I know all about it.
So it's very hard to be respectful of what is here when me, for example, as an African American male, I know how I got here. I didn't take the cheap flight on Frontier here. My people were kidnapped. My people
They were
were
sold by
robbed.
Africans.
They what?
They were sold by Africans.
You say all the people were sold by Africans?
How you think what you think white people came over there and got us?
Yes.
No, they were sold.
So all the
They just capitalized off of it better than the Africans did.
okay. So
See, that's another weird point. Like Anton kind of say something that's kind of weird, and then like instead of dealing with it, it just furthered the divide. I think this would have been a great moment for like someone like Craig to be on the show to kind of like step in and be like, wait a minute, what'd you just say? And why'd you say it like that? Because it's kind of weird when you say it like that. I'm gonna back up. I want to run that back.
you're saying that I got here. I was not. I didn't take the cheap flight on Frontier here. My people were kidnapped. My people were
sold by
robbed.
Africans.
They what?
They were sold by Africans.
You say all the people were?
Sold by Africans. Anton dismissed the claim that Africans were stolen from Africans. And he said that they were sold. I mean, I don't know, because I feel like when we look at it, there's a little bit of both going on. He's saying that they turn their backs on their people. Yeah, I mean, that's what I want to be careful here. I do think it's a little bit of both. I mean, if we look at the documents and, you know, how we got to this point in history, there was some Africans who were sold by other Africans. And when you piece that up, that's interesting because it wasn't just that Africans was over there selling their own people. Like what was happening most of the time was rival tribes would be getting into it and having their little tribal wars and stuff. And if one tribe had some prisoners from another tribe, you know, they might sell some of the prisoners they had. So it wasn't like they was like taking their sons and their daughters and selling them to white supremacists to go be slaves in America. Like, no, they were selling people who they viewed as like prisoners of war. They sold those people and let them be taken over to America. So it's not just that Africans turn their back on Black Americans. And it's not just that white people just went over there and kidnapped a bunch of people and wasn't nobody there to do nothing to stop it. And the one thing that was kind of missed by both Corey and Anton here when we chop it up is I do think that there's enough evidence to support that there was a large population of black-skinned people already in America before the transatlantic slave trade took place. I'm not dismissing that there was a transatlantic slave trade. I 100% do, agree with the fact that transatlantic slave trade took place. The other truth here that gets overlooked, though, there were indigenous black-skinned people in America already before the transatlantic slave trade took place. And when we look at what is today the modern Black American, you do see what is a combination of indigenous black-skinned peoples native to the Americas. You do see Africans who were stolen and brought over here. And you can also say that there were some Africans who were explicitly sold by other Africans and sent over here. And the combination of all three of those groups is what has been combined into what we know today as the Black American. So it's just weird that they, at this point in this conversation, like you can already see like the terms and definitions kind of drifting and conflicting a little bit. They didn't really have the right mediator there to kind of, sift through this. We go on.
By Africans?
How you think what you think white people came over there and got us?
Yes.
No, they were sold.
So
They just capitalized off of it better than the Africans did.
okay, so you're saying that all of the black people that were brought here were sold by Africans.
Correct.
So the white people they were just doing transactions over there.
Absolutely. It was capitalism. See, the thing about white people,
I feel like that's a common deflection that a lot of the right-wing conservative black people try to make. They try to get into that argument that racism is not based on white supremacy. Racism is just based on capitalism. And it's just all about, making the dollar and doing what we got to do for capitalism's sake. It's not exactly white supremacy, or it's not even exactly racism. You know, they kind of like to put racism, white supremacy over to the side and just be like, oh, it's just a capitalistic conquest. Like, no, not so fast. Not so fast. I do think it was a little bit more than just capitalism, because you could have took slaves from any people from one side of the planet, not transplanting them, shipping them across the ocean, all the way across the Atlantic Ocean to a whole nother continent. Wouldn't it be cheaper to just get some people that was already over there? Because it wasn't like America was just like this barren wasteland that didn't have any people on it before slavery started. Like, there was already a whole bunch of indigenous people who had made their way into America and had settled in America. So if we just like take racism and white supremacy out of the equation and just be like, oh, this is just capitalism and it was only a capitalism thing and we don't need to look at racism. Like, think about that. How much do it cost to actually like transport a boat full of slaves from Africa across the Atlantic Ocean to America? How much do that cost? And I mean, that's documented too. Like, it's documented that like they had to get insurance on these people that they was transporting across the ocean, because you would lose a lot. You know, people would get sick, people would go hungry, and there would be times where they had to throw people overboard just because they didn't have enough food to make it across the whole trip. So they would be throwing slaves overboard. So if we just look at this purely through the capitalism lens, it don't really make sense that Africans was selling other Africans to white people to be brought over to America. That don't really make sense from a capitalistic standpoint. But from a white supremacist standpoint, see, the white supremacists, they truly believed that they were the supreme beings on the planet, and they truly believed that everybody else was less than. And in that sense, that gave them the complete and total justification to do what they did, to steal and kidnap. Or, I mean, it might have been some who, you know, actually honorably went there and purchased their slaves legally and brought them with them. But the reason why they was doing that was because they, in their mind, from a white supremacist viewpoint, truly believed that everybody else was less than. They didn't even consider black people to be human. How about that?
Oh, white people. You think that racism is inherently in them. Racism is inherently in all of us.
See, and there you go. Like, I didn't go another 10 seconds before he said something that was weird again. This dude keeps saying weird stuff. And if I'm saying something weird, you know, I'm putting this out there on the internet. It's people. I mean, you can, if you're in the comment section, you can say something. Or, you know, if you like come across one of my channels, you can hit me in the DMs and be like, hey, bro, you said something that wasn't all the way 100. I'll take that. We can deal with that. But like, man, it's like we didn't even get another 10 seconds before this dude said something weird again, man. That's weird that you would say that racism is inherently in all of us. I don't think that's true. I don't know where we could point to any evidence of that being true or existing anywhere else outside of the context of this conversation. What we have seen is that like racism and white supremacy is definitely taught, is definitely handed down through the generations. White people who practice white supremacy, they definitely have a process that they go through, even with their like toddlers, to like teach them who is on top and who is less than and how we supposed to navigate this because of the color of our skin. That is something that is being taught to children. And outside of children who are taught that, I mean, I do think you see a greater population of people who are open-minded and, you know, more accepting of people who are different than them. You know, I think it is our natural state to be more accepting and more understanding. And I do think there's enough evidence to support that racism and white supremacy is 100% learned behaviors that are passed down. I don't think it's accurate to say that we are all inherently racist. I haven't seen much evidence to really support that.
Black people is some of the most racist people I've ever seen in my entire life.
Black people are some of the most racist people I've seen in my entire life. That's so strange to say that. That's so strange to say that. And you can kind of see the look on Corey's face here too. Like, man, he just really said something that's kind of weird right here. Like, why would he say that? Now, if we take the time to break it down, I do think there's a difference between what we talk about with prejudice versus racism. Like you can be prejudiced. All races of people exercise different levels of prejudice when you really look at it. When you look at racism, though, racism is a group dynamic that is enforced by a group of people who are in power over a group of people that they deem to be less than. Like, it's weird to say that black people are some of the most racist people, because like we could definitely find some examples of like black people who we like, I don't like white people, and you know, all of that. You could definitely find black people who do that, but I don't think you really gonna find no like group of black people who like do stuff like red line white neighborhoods. Can you show me any evidence of any black people who gentrify white neighborhoods or red line the districts that white neighborhoods sit in to distort their voting results? Or I don't think you really see any evidence of like black people conspiring to give white people subprime mortgages on their home or inflated interest rates based on the color of their skin. I ain't never really seen no examples of that. I want to know if there's anybody who can show me an example of like black people poisoning the food and water supply of white people. I ain't never seen that happen. I ain't never seen like black people like unjustly mass incarcerate a group of white people. I ain't never seen that happen. So when you say black people are the most racist group of people, like you weird, bro. You saying something that's weird. Like that's not really grounded in the reality that we living in.
We don't even like each other.
So can I ask you a question?
No, hold on. Let's stay there.
Okay.
We don't even like each other. And so black people participate. Some of the first slavers in the United States of America was black people. That's the truth. So what I'm trying to understand is,
and then some of the first black people some of the first slavers in America was black people. I want to see some documentation to substantiate that. I don't know about that. And again, when you talk about like the black people who own slaves in America, a lot of that is actually going back to black people who were buying their family members back. That's what I have seen, and we could point to documentation of. You know, you did see that happen where black people were buying their family members back. I don't know if I've seen any real documentation of black people who really like enslaved other black people to the point of like chattel slavery, where like not just you, but like you and your children are slaves, and I own y'all and y'all is mine. I ain't saying it never happened, but was that really like the average, or was that an outstanding exception? Interesting. We could go further.
Was slavery in the United States before?
slavery existed thousands of years before we got here.
Okay.
Slavery was on every single continent in this world.
That's true. Slavery was on every single continent across the planet. What is different is, again, American chattel slavery. That is unique to America.
That's a fact. Now, the thing that's a problem with it is that, and this is the problem that I have. What you niggas want?
What do you mean when you say what you need?
What do y'all want?
And then this is where some of the flat-footed people might kind of miss this one because Anton is trying to speed past this so you don't catch it. Like, what do you niggas want? Again, back to the main whole the whole thing that set this week off. Let's agree to disagree tonight. The central question was, what is the point? And here is one of the points of this conversation that was sadly glossed over. This is interesting. When we talk about like what happened in the history of America, and we talk about the history of chattel slavery, and we talk about the history of the struggle for black empowerment, Anton gets to this point of, well, what do y'all niggas want? I'll tell you. One word. Reparations. We want reparations. We want to be made whole for what happened to us here. For all of the economic devastation that took place as a result of American chattel slavery. All of the economic devastation that took place needs to be repaired. The people who endured that and their descendants who are still alive today and who still wear the scars from American chattel slavery and still live with the economic impact of American chattel slavery, that's what they want. That's what this whole conversation is about. We want reparations. And we kind of touched on that in the last episode. This is 3.1. And in episode 3.0, that's the whole thing with the Dr. King video I showed at the beginning. I wanted to show people that like the real Dr. King, like he wasn't just talking about like equality and let's hold hands and sing Kumbaya. No, like the real Dr. King, the human being that actually existed in real life, he was talking about we coming to get our check. We being black people and our check being reparations for American chattel slavery. So before we speed past this point and Corey and Anton get into more miscommunication and confusion, that's what we was really talking about. Here we go.
Like, because y'all complaining about it over and over again. And I'm trying to understand, what is it that y'all looking for?
Complaining about it and like bringing it up. Because like people talk about 9/11 and it's like, never forget, hashtag never forget. But when we talk about American chattel slavery, it's like, oh man, what y'all bringing that up for again? No, it's the same thing as 9/11. Hashtag never forget.
What is going to help y'all?
The whole thing that has happened.
Because I'm solutions oriented, and I'm tired of niggas that ain't never been through shit.
Solutions oriented. The solution is reparation.
Complaining about shit that they ain't never been through.
If you black in the United States, you've been through some shit.
But I'm tired of niggas complaining about shit that they have never been through. You've been through.
Now, this is an interesting point too. Before we fall off the rails with this, tired of black people complaining about stuff that they never been through. Look, I never been shackled and in chains and forced to do labor, but my ancestors that did live through that, the economic impact of that lives on. The wealth that was generated from slavery is still being circulated amongst the people who were responsible for that and their descendants. So if the wealth that was generated through slavery still exists and the people who endured slavery was never made whole for that, yeah, actually there is a way to reconcile this. Some of that money that was generated through slavery needs to be paid back to the people who actually did the work. Yes, that is what needs to happen.
Some shit, but you ain't been through that.
I don't understand. What are you saying? Like,
because most of the niggas that's complaining about it ain't never even really seen real racism. These is new niggas. All of these internet niggas right here, these is new niggas.
So are you saying black people?
I saw something that was interesting on that too. Like, man, I wish I had it pulled up here so I could show it, because I'm just now thinking of something that I scrolled past randomly in the past week. I seen that where like they was talking about how kids as young as like 3 years old do experience racism. And one of the first places they experience it is like in school, in preschool, in pre-K or Head Start, or, you know, your first time being in these like social environments. Like it's already a thing. It's already active. And even if it's like not something that's like present in like, you know, your peer-to-peer relationships between, you know, you and other little people in your kindergarten class or whatever, like your teacher can have subconscious racist bias that do impact the way that the classroom moves. It's kids that's experiencing this as young as 3, 4, 5 years old, you could say. So to be like, oh, y'all never even experienced racism, blah, blah, blah. Like just because, you know, you don't have somebody with a whip telling you to go pick that cotton, that don't mean you not experiencing racism. And it's weird for you to say that, bro. Anton, you want some weird, this is weird. This is a whole weird line of thinking, bro. Very strange.
The United States, some of them have skipped over racism?
Yes, definitively.
Come on, man.
Definitively.
And Corey just started laughing at
You
that.
have a greater chance of being killed by somebody that look like you than to ever interact with somebody that don't look like you and kill you.
But do you
That's a
understand?
fact.
Do you understand that it's made like that on purpose? The position,
It's the system. The system.
Yeah. They going fast. I keep pausing this. Like we only 9 minutes into this stream, man. I'm really not trying to be here long. I said I was going to do a short one and get off. We approaching 45 minutes. We're going to see how much more of this I do tonight. I might have to save some of this for tomorrow because I don't know if we're going to get through all of it tonight. But, man, what was that last thing he said? Hold on, let me go back.
Against us. I got it.
made like that on purpose. The position,
It's the system.
Oh, yeah, proximity killings. He said most people are like killed by people who look like them. Like, yeah, that's it's called proximity killings. Like in general, most people are killed by the people they are closest in proximity to. Most of the time, you are closest in proximity to the other people like you. So rich people live in rich neighborhoods. Poor people live in poor neighborhoods. The stuff that go on in poor neighborhoods don't really affect the rich neighborhoods and vice versa. That makes sense. That's not nothing that's really rocket science. We continue.
The system against us. I got it.
okay, but the position you and your people are in,
Who was my people?
black people, do you claim?
Now, this is where it gets really weird. Because Corey is trying to like nail this conversation down a little bit so we can really deal with it. You know, before we, you know, get into the argument or the disagreement, we really like just trying at this point in the conversation, trying to nail down like what is it that we actually talking about. And this is interesting what Corey tries to do.
Black people made like that on purpose. The position,
It's the system. The system against us. I got it.
okay, but the position you and your people are in,
Who was my people?
black people, do you claim black people?
I'm a Christian first.
Weird, bro. You weird, Anton. That's weird. I'm a Christian first. That's weird, dog. I wanna that sounds a lot like what we heard when I don't know if anybody remember when Jesse Lee Peterson did an interview of Richard Spencer. If you've never seen either of those people are, it's something that's interesting to look up. Jesse Lee Peterson did it, and he said that too. He was like, no, I'm a Christian first. I feel like we see that happen a lot where people feel like they can sidestep this conversation. People feel like they can sidestep this conversation about racism and white supremacy by focusing on religion. And that's just a cover. That's just a cover. Because what's really going on in the world around us is the results and effects of white supremacy. Even like when we take a deep dive to really look at Christianity and what it is and how it works and how it's been animated across the field as we know it, like Christianity, for real, what animates Christianity is white supremacy too. A lot of white people who practice Christianity, they just using that as a front. The real religion of white people is white supremacy.
Well, I think something's wrong with that. If you don't want to say you're a black man first, I think something wrong with
Black
that.
is a construct. They told you that you was black.
Okay, well,
That's why
brown-
you start
brown
believing it.
then.
No,
Maybe
we
I'm
not.
Black is a construct. They told you it was black. That's weird, bro.
brown, we not black, we not none of that shit.
Oh, well, what are we?
We not none. For me, I'm a believer in God. That's what I am.
Okay, and see, this is another example of Anton tap dancing, because it went from a conversation about what are we, talking about black people and talking about the condition of the people here and why it's this way and what happened to make it work out this way. We're talking about black people and what's going on here with black people. We ain't talking about you as an individual or what you think or what you want to represent as an individual. That ain't got nothing to do with the conversation. And it's weird that you keep trying to take it that way.
My foundation is always going to be Christianity, Christ, Jesus first. I don't claim none of that other shit. You're not gonna get me to believe in you based off of some shit that you can't control. You didn't pick it. And the thing about other cultures, whether you black, Chinese, Asians don't fuck with each other just because they're Asian. Chinese people and Japanese people and Taiwanese people, they're all different. Koreans are different. All white people don't fuck with all white people. So why do I have an obligation to fuck with somebody just because he black?
Okay.
And then the definition of how you define black is based off of something that a white man gave to you.
Okay.
He said Asians don't stay together just because they Asian. Now, there are ethnic differences amongst Asians. They do have their internal beefs amongst themselves that they deal with and they hash out amongst themselves on their own terms. But what you do know is when there's anything that affects them as a group, anything externally that affects them as a group, they are able to get on the same page about that. Like you saw that happen here in America around COVID, like when people was talking about like there's a rise in Asian hate crimes. Like it was definitely like Asian people who was able to get past their little ethnic differences to be like, yeah, we stand together on the idea that Asian hate crimes need to stop. It wasn't no like Japanese person that was like, well, no, we ain't all Asian. No, I'm Japanese. And I don't think just because Japanese and Chinese people is both Asian, we got to stick together. I didn't hear a single Asian person say that when it came to stopping Asian hate crimes during COVID.
Trust me, brother. You white people, let me tell you something. I know Caucasian people that have looked at me and threw me licks. But I am from Chicago.
And I'm from Detroit.
It was Chicago is very segregated. I knew nothing about Caucasian people until I moved to Los Angeles. And a lot of the stories I heard, it turned out to be just that. But back to this Christianity, you have to understand this. You were taught that by the people who kidnapped you. Is that a lie?
Nope.
Okay, so
We was taught everything that you know on this earth, it was taught to you. The racism that you have in your heart, it was taught to you.
you say I'm racist?
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I studied you.
Wow.
I studied you.
This is why
Where
I
am I racist? I don't know a lot of racism in me. But maybe
Absolutely.
you can show me something I don't know.
We're gonna get there.
I wanted
We'll
you
get
guys
there.
to start the show off in your own like.
No, when
That's just another example of Anton saying something weird and then not really substantiating it. Corey gave him a chance, like, what do you mean? Like, how you gonna call me racist? And he was just like, yeah, we'll get there.
when Brother Anton Daniels was talking to me on the phone, I knew that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things,
Yeah,
but
we
I
talked about
believe
that.
we can have a conversation like men. It's like a lot of stuff he said right now, I disagree with so much. But
Both of us.
I'm going to try to make a point because I have the hopes. I have the hopes in reaching him in a way. You know what I'm saying? I know that ain't guaranteed. I'm not.
And
blind
I have the
stupid.
hopes that I'm gonna get y'all.
Yeah, he said they're just like that. A lot of stuff that he said so far I disagree with. But again, that shows like the failure of this conversation, because like where there were multiple points for them to like really dive deep on where they are separating, in views from each other or having, different perspectives. Like it should have been a way for them to square that away first before we tried to go deeper into this conversation on some mismatched terms that don't even, like I said, they wasn't on the same page to even have a true conversation from. And man, just think about like how fast this stuff went left and how quickly it didn't even work out. Like we are 12 minutes into this and that thing lasted for about 40, maybe closer to 50. And yeah, I'm at this point now. See, the stream has been going for about 50 minutes. I think I'm already to the point where I'm deciding like we're not really about to watch all of this tonight. I wonder if now is a good place to stop, or should I try to get one more point out? I'm gonna try to get one more point out before I stop. Let's go. We're gonna go to the next bullet point. It probably ain't even gonna take that long. It's probably only gonna take a couple seconds before we hit it. Let's see.
For the Democratic plantation.
Yeah, because I don't know nothing about the Democratic plantation.
Everything that you speak of, it's a reflection of the same thing that they speak of. So you may
So Anton came in saying that like his goal, or like one of his points for being here on the show, is because he want to get black people off of the Democratic plantation. That's an interesting statement, because I feel like that like the Democratic plantation is a real thing, where it's like black people who is not really engaging in the voting system. You know, they just know that we vote blue no matter who. And that's what I was told to do. And that's how it goes. And it's not really any critical thought going into who they vote for or why they vote for them. And that is a mistake. If you are a black person in America who just believes that you're supposed to vote blue no matter who, that's a mistake, actually. And that's something that we should drill down on and take a closer look at. So Anton trying to say, like, you know, I'm here trying to get black people off of the Democratic plantation. Like, that's cool. That's actually not a bad idea. Trying to get black people off of the Democratic plantation and onto the Republican plantation, that don't make no sense. Because if we really get to tell the truth about that, like, yeah, they both two sides of the same, two wings of the same bird, two sides of the same coin. You know, Democrats and Republicans, they both got white supremacy on both sides. Being on the left doesn't free you from white supremacy racism. Being on the right doesn't free you from white supremacy racism. It's going on both sides. And it's really interesting to see the way that they actually work together to achieve those white supremacist goals. That would have been a more interesting conversation to have, rather than this whole, like, I'm trying to get black people off the Democratic plantation. That's like half true, kind of disingenuous for you to go about it that way. It's definitely weird for a grown man to be talking this way. It's definitely strange.
not claim it, but you're a reflection of it.
Well, if I reflect something that is this Democratic plantation, I tell you what, I really don't study a Democratic plantation. I try to study being a stand-up human being where when I look in the mirror, I don't see a slick motherfucker.
Correct.
That's who I am.
I'm with it.
I don't like slick motherfuckers.
That's the first thing we agreed on.
Okay, well, good. I'm glad we got there. But
That's the first thing we agreed on. I think that's what I'm gonna call it for tonight. If I do another episode before Thursday, before we get actual episode 4, I might come back and do an episode 3.2 to pick up where we left off and to go deeper into this thing. Right now, I'm only 13 minutes into the 5150 video, and like I said, it's actually like 50 minutes or so of these guys actually going through this conversation. So we're going to call it right there. It took them 13 minutes to get to the first point that they actually agree on. How about it? All right. We back here. I'm going to get rid of the TV for now. TV, you go bye-bye. Corey or Anton? Now, without trying to come across as biased, like, we watching the video together and we going through what they actually talking about in real time. And as far as everything that we've covered so far, I feel like Anton is just saying weird stuff and Corey is not doing a good job of holding him accountable to that. I don't think either one of them really said anything that I really feel like I got to get in position to agree with or fight back against. I feel like the whole conversation up until this point has just been strange. At the least, this could be a case study for how we can conduct better conversations in 2026. Maybe we should spend some time to reflect on that. One of the things I said in the last episode, I was saying how I want to try to come up with a way to like handle these kind of discussions better. The one idea that popped up in my mind today, and I'm gonna spend some time refining this idea, but I feel like we should have like a way to establish common ground before we get into more complex topics. Like we should be able to, like, I feel like there's different levels of, conversation points. And I feel like at the lowest level, it's like the easiest things for us to all agree on. like at the lowest level, let's just call it like level 1 conversation. Before we get into any higher levels of conversation, at level 1, we should be able to at least agree that, the sky is blue. Everybody that's ready to go forward to level 2, let's make sure we're on the same page before we go to level 2. If you okay and cool with the idea that the sky is blue, all right, let's do it. And it might be a couple people that's like, I don't know about that. And, we can chop it up. We can piece it up and really get to the point of like, what color is the sky actually? Well, the sky is actually reflecting the light through the atmosphere and it's bent at an angle and all of that stuff. We can get into the science and the physics of it, or why it's actually that color, or why it looks that way, or why it might change color throughout different times of the day. In the morning, it could look one color. At night, it could look another color. But like in general, when we look up at the sky and people ask you like, what color is the sky? The answer is blue. Okay, cool. That's a level 1 kind of conversation. Before we start trying to do stuff like, well, what color is Kamala Harris? Like, hold on. Before you say black, like, wait a minute. There's more information there that we need to actually talk about before you come to your conclusion. And then from the place you holding that conclusion, you getting into arguments and you getting into fights. Like, wait a minute. No. Before you do that, we actually need to like come to an agreement on the terms that we use in here. Now, what color is Kamala Harris? That could be an interesting question for another week, but I'm not going to do that tonight. We about to get up out of here, y'all. I'm going to hit the theme song one more time and then we on the way. Let's do it. All right, y'all. I appreciate everybody who tuned in tonight. That's going to do it for this episode of Let's Agree to Disagree Tonight. And we should do this again real soon. Will we get an episode 3.2 or episode 4 first? We're going to see. That is depending on how my week goes. We're going to see what happens. Till then, y'all, take it easy. Y'all have a good one.